everyone. All right, well, here we are. Time for another case study. The last one was on GameStop. I'm actually not sure if I still have that one on YouTube. That one may be right now just reserved for Warrior Pro students. But I'm going to put this one out here on YouTube for the time being, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be a case study on NURO, N-U-R-O. And over the last 3 days, the stock has gone from $4 to $40 a share. I made $123,000 on it. That's right, you heard that right, girl. That's a lot of dog food. Now, on day one, I went red. I lost $35,000. On day two, I made $43,000, which gave me $8,000 in profit. And today I made $115,000. 115 plus 8, $123,000. There we go, in 3 days of trading. This thing was wild, and today is when it peaked at $40.83 a share. So I'm going to give you the case study of sort of the breakdown of the last 3 days. What I didn't talk about a lot was the initial catalyst, which was an FDA approval, fast track, or it was a breakthrough approval for treatment for fibromyalgia, and I thought that was interesting. It's always hard to know with biomedical, pharmaceutical type of therapeutic stocks when a catalyst is going to result in that kind of move. You just don't know. So hang on a second. Hang on, hold that thought. Inside. In. You're a pain in the ass. My apologies, I'm back. Okay. All right, so you never know with these catalysts. Sometimes you'll read a catalyst, you'll think it's great, and you'll be surprised that the stock goes down. So I try not to overinterpret fundamental headlines and focus primarily on technical analysis. So if the stock is moving higher, I'm interested. If the news catalyst doesn't seem that strong, but it's moving higher anyways, I think, okay, hey, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. So I just try to kind of, take news catalysts with a grain of salt. But what I would encourage for you guys, if you haven't already checked it out, is my ebook. All right, so I've put together an ebook. It's based on my book titled How to Day Trade, which I have a copy of right here. And it's updated. So this book I wrote about 6 years ago. And while a lot of the patterns that I talk about in this book are still 100% valid, entries, support resistance at $0.50 and whole dollars, moving average support. I mean, these are all setups that I still trade. I wanted to kind of spruce it up a little bit. And so I put it together as an ebook, and I'm gonna give it to you guys as a PDF that you can download. So click right down there below, check out the 2021 ebook on day trading. So the 6-year update to how to day trade with some new tidbits, which I think you guys will really enjoy, because that's gonna break down for you really the core components of my strategy, which is focusing on technical analysis. Finding strong stocks to trade, understanding that a catalyst is an important component, but is not the end all be all. Understanding the power of the percentage of gap or the leading gap or the float, the current condition of the market, and then the intraday and daily patterns, chart patterns, actually looking at the charts and dialing in. These are my favorite patterns. So I hope you guys really enjoy the ebook. Click the link below to download it and leave me some comments on what you think about it. And as you go through this case study and recap on NURO, I hope that you're able to absorb a lot of what I'm talking about here, because this will not be the last time we see a stock make a big move like that. From $4 to $40 in 3 days. You think that, wow, that's crazy. How often does that happen? Well, it happens every now and then. Obviously, GameStop went from, $30, $40 to $500. So we see them on different scales, but when we see something making a really big move like that, that's when I get excited. That's what I'm interested in. That's where I find profit. I profit from volatility, right? As a day trader, as a momentum trader. But you should also know that trading is risky, and my results are not typical. I've been doing this for a long time, and on some of the trades that I took on NURO, I was taking a lot of risk. I had a willingness to take the risk, I could afford the loss, and when you're trading, if you can't afford loss, you're in the wrong sport, because losses are part of the deal. Most beginner traders lose money, so you gotta get comfortable losing, certainly before you'll find any success at all. So take it slow, trade in a simulator, download the ebook, learn a little bit more about my strategy, and I hope you guys enjoy this case study on NURO. All right, jump in, enjoy it. All right, everyone. So, well, here we are, Thursday. Just a ordinary Thursday in the small account. Day 8, made $72. Didn't do super great. NURO was the big mover today, and I didn't feel comfortable taking the risk on it. And sometimes that's the case, that the big momentum stock is one that's just too expensive. The spreads are too high, too big, and the risk is too high. And you just feel like, man, I want to, but I can't bring myself to pull the trigger. And that's what ended up happening in the small account today. But I more than made up for it in the big account, locking up $104,000 on NURO in my main account and another $11,000 in my retirement account. $115,000 in profit on NURO. Red on IGC, which is super annoying. I'll break down that trade. But over $100,000 on the day and $114,000 on NURO. That is really, really solid. So let's break it down. I sat down this morning and I'm just going to, you know what I'm going to do? So these are all the lines I have drawn right now. I'm going to move this up here and I'm just going to open a different set of charts and clear all the lines off it. That way I can kind of start fresh and just show you, as I sat down this morning, kind of what I was looking at. So first of all, you know, I'm the guy 2 days ago who top ticked NURO and lost $34,000. So he's walking towards you and say, top tick. I top tick, bought the top tick and got this ridiculous drop. It was $35,000 loss. All right, so that was me 2 days ago. Yesterday, I came back and I was like, nope, that's not going to happen again. And I traded NURO quite well. I finished up $50,000, about $43,000 on NURO yesterday. So I traded it well, but I left quite a bit on the table because it went a lot higher than I thought it would. So this was day one back here of this sort of parabolic squeeze. And in a way, this could actually be a case study for NURO, this episode today. So this was day one, and this was the trade where, you know, this thing's going higher and higher and higher and higher. And, you know, I had made some money on it. I was green, $3,600, not huge green, but I was up at that point about $23,000 on the day. And, you know, you had these nice clean pullbacks. They kept going without me. I kept missing them. And then I took this trade here. It pops up to 12 and then halts going down at 993, opens lower. I sold it at 987. I then look at my phone after hours and see that it ripped up to 14. This is FOMO trading. You finally press the buy button. And the moment you press the buy button, it's like, how did this just happen to me? And you see it going up, and finally you just give in. You say, all right, I'm in. I'm all in. And that's what happened. And I was livid. And then, of course, right after I stopped out, it went right back up. So that was a bit of a slap in the face on day one. I actually finished day one down $35,000 on NURO. Day one of the squeeze. Stock's up 200% and I'm down $35,000 on it. It's embarrassing. Day two, no, I'm back. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And it didn't fool me twice. Second time, I was back in and I was trading this breakout right here. This was a break of this descending. So let me draw the trend line. I like to do these arrows just to kind of show you levels that I'm looking at. But I don't use them really for like charting that much in terms of actually understanding critical levels. So I use this trend line and had it drawn right here like this. And usually I would draw an ascending one as well. I might try to connect like this point with this one. It's like, I don't know if that's really valid. With this one, well, that's valid. You know, and it was right to the resistance point there. So that was a good one. And to be able to, for what's worth, have these drawn
you could, because I connected this at these 2 points right here, I could have had it drawn the day before it ran into this resistance way up here, right? So it's very helpful to be able to have these drawn in advance. All right, so then through here, we kind of had a little bit of support. All right, so we got the breakout right here. It then pulls back, dip off of this previous resistance, becomes support, and then it rips higher up to 1350, 1450, 1550, 1650, 17. Hits a little resistance there at the open, dip and rip long, squeezes up to 1886, and I don't remember how many shares I was even holding into the halt. I feel like maybe 100 or something. I was basically all out. It then opens higher, halts down, then opens higher and rips up. I did another dip and rip and sold going into the halt. Then it squeezes here up to up to 28 to 30, halts going up again, halts a third time in a row going up, and then it halts coming down and sells off. So this was yesterday. And I finished yesterday up 50,000 on it, 43,000 on it, 50,000 on the day. A good day. But yesterday had a little problem, which was that the daily candle ended up having this huge topping tail because it squeezed up, but then it closed so much lower. That's a reversal indicator. However, this morning, I sat down and I looked at NURO, and of course I already had some of the lines drawn from the previous days. And I thought to myself, all right, well, yesterday the level that it was unable to break, that was critical, was this intraday level here of about $29.79. So let's just call it 30 bucks. And it hit it pre-market again. So now you have 1, 2, 3 attempts at that level. Okay, and then I thought, well, let's try to pin this down a little bit more. So I drew a trend line from here to here. And I drew a trend line from back here to right here. And as I watched it consolidating in this area, I sat down at about 8 a.m. So I sat down kind of right here, and from that point forward was watching the chart. I punched in my small account to see how many shares I could buy, and I could only buy 188. And I thought, 188 shares, that's, I don't think it's even worth it. It just doesn't, I don't think that's even worth it. It's just too small. So let's see. Just looking at my trades. So I had a couple different trades on this. This was in the retirement account. But it looks like my first trade was at about a little after 8:30 when I bought this dip. So I saw someone in chat say double bottom 26. Oops. Double bottom 26. And I looked at this chart right here and I saw that, yeah, good call. It's a double bottom at 26 right there. And maybe, well, let's focus in on this chart here, and I'm going to change this to a 1 minute time frame. All right, so so someone said double bottom at 26, and I thought, okay, double bottom at 26, and that was right about here. So a minute or so later, it dips down a second time to 26, and note how it bounces almost to the penny off that yellow ascending support line. And note also how we have now several times seen this dip, lower candle wick, and a pop back up. I will say that dip trades are one of the riskiest types of trades you can take because you're literally buying while a stock is dropping. It takes a very high level of intuition to know when it's the right move to buy while a stock is dropping and when it's the wrong move. Now, what gave me the intuition here, or what gave me the instinct that this was going to work, was the ascending support, the previous history of bouncing and popping back up, double bottom right around 26. And as it dropped right here, that was when I took my first entry. So I started on this with an entry, let's see, and it was It was right here at 26.13. So I bought this at 26.13, 26.18, 26.20. So I bought it, but it was already kind of coming back up. The low of that candle was like below 26. And then I started adding, and these are all hotkeys. Shift 2 for 2,000 shares, shift 1 for 1,000. Added at 32, added at 37, added at 47. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,000 shares. 12,000 shares, 10,000 shares of this stock is $260,000 in the position. I scaled up to 12,000 shares. It pops up here to a high. You can see right there. The high was 27.42. So it actually broke through this descending resistance line, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was just going to hit that resistance line and maybe pull back. It actually broke it and then pulled back, and I looked at this as a test. So oftentimes, and just like the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, when we break above it and then pull back, we look for the break, the pullback, for it to hold that critical level and then trade from there. So while this initial entry is a dip off of ascending support trend line and a double bottom was solid, a second entry, which is just as good, in fact, probably with less risk, is the first pullback after breaking a critical resistance line. And this is where I started to add. And so then from here, I was adding into that squeeze. Now I already had 12,000 shares from a great entry. I added into the squeeze. The biggest position that I took on this today, I think, was around 25,000 shares. That's a huge position. I mean, we're talking 10,000 shares is $250,000. So 20,000 is $500,000, $700,000 position. Now this is getting back to the way I trade GameStop in January, February, putting at times over $1 million into the position. There's a lot of risk that comes with that. We know trading is risky, and using that type of position is extremely risky because I knew that NURO does have an S3 shelf registration from 2019. That made me worried about the possibility that they could do a secondary offering. However, they did have a catalyst of an earnings call, and I kind of thought that while that risk is here, I don't think it's going to happen right now. Well, man, I was right. It didn't, but the risk was there. And the risk was certainly there with GameStop and AMC as well. So anyways, this was the trade where I really did extremely well. And then I had such a big cushion that I just started adding on the pullbacks, right? So then through here, I was like, all right, I'm buying the dip. I'm looking for the breakthrough $32, $33. And then I was just trading these areas here. And I was buying the dips, the lower candle wicks. I felt like I could afford to hold. Some of them I was down a little bit on. I had one I was down like $10,000 on. I held. It squeezed back up. I already had a cushion, so I felt okay about it. And then at the open, I gave back $15,000. I thought at the open we were going to get squeezed into a halt. So I lost $15,000 at the open on this first 1 minute candle. And then I added back down here at 35. It pops up to 38, 3 points, and I sold for about $13,000, $14,000. So I basically made back what I lost right there. And since then, I'd been waiting and hoping we would get a break through the VWAP, but it hasn't happened. And at this point, we have a red open. We have this big red candle at the open. We didn't get the halt up that I was hoping for. We did get a halt down. We have this double top on the daily chart right at about 38.67. Today's high was 38.75. So that's now a daily level. I'll draw it in blue. So if we consolidate here for a couple days, maybe we could get a pullback and then a trade through 40 if they don't do a secondary offering over the next couple days, and perhaps they put out another positive catalyst. That would probably help a lot in terms of keeping this stock higher and potentially getting a breakthrough 38.75. Is that going to happen? I have no idea. Probably not, but you never know. So 38.75 is the level that we'll be watching. Needs to get back over VWAP. Today's pulling back. But we did get that second kind of move pre-market, and we got some really nice momentum in those candles. Has 28 million shares of volume right now. Volume is solid on it. Liquidity, I really didn't have any problems getting in and out with pretty big size. I was impressed. Liquidity was not bad on this. And then the other one that I traded was IGC. So I had one trade in my small account pre-market. That was like in this area. And then I got in right, I got in right here on this 1 minute pullback for the breakthrough 44 and then 50. I took 30,000 shares. You know, I thought this looks good. I'm going to size up for that nice breakout. And I was in at 40, and then I added as it came down. So I had then like 40,000 shares, and I ended up losing 14,000 bucks on it. Stopped out at $4. And then 5 minutes later, it rips up to 465, and then immediately reverses back down to 357. So, you know, sometimes on a day when you have a big win, you can get a little sloppy, and I think I got a little sloppy today. But I shouldn't have held that IGC trade as long as I did, but you know, I was so green, I kind of was like, oh, I have the cushion, I can afford it. And that really wasn't the right move. So anyways, so that's where I finished today, 115,000 on NURO and minus 14,000 on IGC. A really solid day of momentum trading, a much bigger breakout than I think I don't think I could have hoped for a whole lot more, except for that squeeze and halt at the open. That would have been the only thing that would have added some real icing to the cake. And then maybe we'd be sitting here looking at 125, 150,000. I mean, I was ready to size up for that trade in the halt and then maybe a gap like we had yesterday. So that would have been better. But, you know, it's not going to happen every day like that. And so it happened yesterday. I didn't really trade it perfectly, but I traded it quite well today. So that's my recap. That's kind of my analysis on the parabolic momentum on NURO in general, and my recap for today. So total profit on NURO right now in these last 3 days. So I was minus 35,000. Then I was plus 43,000. So I was really up only 8,000. Then 115. So $123,000 on NURO in 3 days. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty solid. That's some serious profit. As always, my results are not typical. I took a lot of risk. Some of these trades could have gone the wrong way, but regardless of that, I've been doing this for a long time. So, you know, it really takes a tremendous commitment, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a certain level of skill, physical skill, mental skill, aptitude, and it's not for everyone. Not everyone's going to be able to handle the risk in trading and everything you need to be able to juggle at once to make good decisions. And we know that is reflected in what we've always heard, which is that the majority of traders lose money. So I really encourage you guys, especially with these parabolic stocks, which are stocks going like almost straight up, you got to practice them in a simulator because these are the ones that can crush you. These are not stocks that you want to be holding for the next 6 months and average down on. It's just not. You've got to be able to be ruthless about cutting your losers. And I did have a couple big ones today. I actually had two, I guess, $15,000 losses today. So I had a couple big losses today. But, you know, at the end of the day, relative to the winners, that's okay. So, yeah, anyway, so that's it for me. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you back in the chat room.
I hope you really enjoyed that video, and make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Our goal is to hit 1 million subscribers this year, but we won't get there without your help. So please, please, please hit that subscribe button.